I'll try and keep this as close to my face as I can. So as I was saying, story I wanted to share, I went to the Y, and I was going to work out, and the Y is on Kansas City Street, and so I turn, and there's angled parking, whichever side you're on, whether it's right on the Y or by the bank there, but there's these angled parking spots that you have to go and you have to get into, and there's other people that are parking there, and it's driving, it's parking. We know what that is. But I go and I see, hey, there's a couple open spots. Nice, this is going to work. I'm going to slide in. And then I noticed that those weren't open spots because there was a big old truck that thought, well, I need more space. And listen, I get it. Like, living is hard. It's so hard. And driving is so hard. And parking this big old truck is so hard. And so I have to take up all this space. And I get it. Like, I'm sure this guy's mad too because his ex-wife is probably just breathing down his neck all the time. He doesn't get to see his kids. This whole thing. So I just try and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Dodge Ram. I'm so sorry. And these massive tires, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm sure he's a real man. Because of these big old tires and this lifted truck. And so I'm just going to try and squeeze into this space. And I'm able to make myself just a little bit of space. And so I get out and I go and I'm like, man, God, that was a battle. I'm already the pre-workout is already going through me because I've already faced this battle. I'm a hero. I'm a hero facing this guy. I have shown him what's for. And now I don't even need to go to the gym now. I faced this battle. It was me versus him, right? Maybe. We're talking about opposition today. When opposition finds you, and it's going to find us, whether it's thrust upon us by somebody, whether it's a circumstance, maybe you do it yourself, but opposition is going to find you, and we're using David. We've been going through these stories of David to share all of these, and we're going to keep doing that. And I was actually fortunate enough, my wife and I last week went to Italy, and they have good bread, and so we're like, well, let's just go to Italy for a little bit. And so we flew over there and got to hang out and saw the statue of David. And, we've seen photos of that. I had no idea that this thing was not my size. It's massive. It's this huge thing. It takes up this, I don't know, 16 feet. Google it if you want. It's huge. But it's this incredible, hundreds of year old statue of this larger than life man from the Bible. Because that's also how we view David, is larger than life. He slayed giants, tens of thousands. He took down so many enemies. He was a man after God's own heart. He had so many battles. Opposition was always coming for him. But I want to break down some of those battles, because I'll also tell you, I'm sure it's a layup in this. When you hear David in battles, you think, oh, the big guy, Goliath. Well, I grew up in a church. My grandpa was a pastor. My dad was a pastor. I've been a pastor. I've heard that story. I'm guessing you have also. If you don't know who Goliath is, come talk to me afterwards. I can share. But I'm going to be honest, that one is overplayed for me. So, because I have the microphone, I have both microphones, I decided I'm not going to talk about Goliath. But I am going to talk about the battles that David had faced, because opposition is going to find us. And I wanted to start by giving you the two main points I'm going to talk about. I don't want to hide them. That way, if you get bored halfway through, too, you know it, and that's this. The first one is know the source of the battle. Know the source of this opposition that's coming from. The second one is know your opposition in a battle. Those are key to winning battles. Know the source and know who you're fighting. So let's just go right into the first one here, and I'm going to start with the story of David. It's 1 Samuel 18, verses 5 through 9. Whatever mission Saul sent David on, he was so successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army, which pleased all the troops and Saul's officers as well. When the men were returning home, after David had killed the Philistines, the women came out from the towns of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful songs and with timbrels and lyres. As they danced, they sang, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. Saul was very angry. This refrain displeased him greatly. They have credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands? What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. So here, these two guys are fighting together. David is under Saul's command, and they are winning battles, which you'd think for the kingdom is great. Like for Saul's empire, this is a good thing. However, as you can tell, he starts to get a little jealous, a little nervous. Well, I don't know, maybe David's going to be coming after my kingdom. And he says from that point on, he keeps his eyes on him. In fact, let's just keep going, because he doesn't just keep his eyes on him, he takes action pretty quickly. One verse later, 10. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul. He was prophesying in his house while David was playing the lyre, as he usually did. Saul had a spear in his hand and hurled it, saying to himself, I'll pin David to the wall. But David eluded him twice. Now, I know again that we're talking about David, but I want to focus on Saul here for just a little bit to understand the source of this battle. But before I even do that, I just wanted to point something out real quick, because this was something, again, growing up in a church, I heard things like this, and it just confused me greatly. And that was that an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul. So I grew up not understanding what that meant, even though I grew up in a church, and so my assumption was, okay, God is all good, except sometimes he screws people over. That doesn't make any sense. Why would God do that? So just to understand, this evil spirit is God's passive wrath. So there's two types of wrath. There's God's active wrath, and there's God's passive wrath. The active wrath would be like a lightning bolt striking down somebody for saying something. Like, it's active, it's right away, it's immediate. The flood, active wrath. Passive wrath is when God removes his protection from somebody and basically says, okay, you decided to make this choice, now you're going to have to deal with it, whatever comes next. The locusts, the Israelites being taken captive by the Babylonians, that is passive wrath. God just saying, okay, if that's what you wanted, that's what you're going to get, and that is what is happening right now with Saul. So Saul, in his mind, is going, this David guy is starting to take a lot of my credit. He's starting to earn a lot of love, a lot of favor. People are looking at him. I need to do something about it. So he picks up this spear and he throws it at David, not once but twice. David has to get out of his way twice because Saul is thinking, this is the source of my battle. This is the source of my opposition. This kid who is trying to win my kingdom away from me. So he decides to take action. But that's not the source of Saul's opposition. See, the source is this. Saul's disobedience was the source of the battle he is facing. Because before this, Saul was actually anointed king by God. He was chosen, and then he disobeyed God. And then God said, okay, you have lost my favor. I'm going to choose someone else. And he is now dealing with the consequences of his action. Now hear me, I don't want to get up here and do this like fire and brimstone. If you make a mistake, you're going to hell, or everything's going to be bad. I'm not here to say that. But I'm also not here to say, if anything bad happens in your life, you can go, God, why are you testing me? Because he may not be. I grew up in a house that anytime something bad would happen, my parents would go, I don't know, this is a test from God. And I'd think, well, that's weird, because that was definitely your choice. The bank taking the truck away, it's God testing us. No, I think that's you being bad with money. I think they're just doing their job. Like, that's how it works. So I'm not trying to say, again, fire and brimstone, but sometimes we have to be the ones to own, hey, maybe we're the source of this. Maybe this is on us. Now, I shouldn't give my family too much headache, because to be honest with you, this sort of thing's been happening for years and years and years. In fact, David did this himself. Listen to this. So this is Psalm 3, one of the first Psalms. And I just want to read the whole thing because it's pretty small. Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts me high. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from the holy mountain. I lie down and sleep. I wake up again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear, though tens of thousands assail me on every side. Arise, Lord, deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. Man, that's awesome, right? Like, what a reliance on God. He is saying, God, no matter how many people, I'm being attacked on every single side, but no matter what is going on, you are going to be there for me. This is a psalm that resonates with so many of us because we've been there, right? This God, we just keep getting attacked. We don't know where it's coming from. I have enemies everywhere, but I know that I can stand strong in you, Lord. I can trust you, and you're going to take care of me. Sounds great, and he is relying on God, but where's the source of this battle? Let's just take a breath and go, okay, David, I hear you, but where's this coming from? So currently, he does have some problems going on in his life. So let's look at this. Let's just take some context. So he wrote Psalm 3 after fleeing Israel. He was fleeing Israel because his son was trying to usurp him. Listen to this in 2 Samuel 15:10. Then Absalom sent secret messengers throughout the tribes of Israel to say, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, then say, Absalom is king of Hebron. Okay, so he definitely has somebody who is fighting him. This is his son, Absalom, who has decided that he is going to claim the throne of David for his own. You could stop there if you wanted and go, yep, okay, so the source of David's problem is his son. In fact, I was Googling this for a while, just Googling, like, why did Absalom rebel, or just Absalom, and a lot of just automatic ChatGPT stuff was like, well, he's a bad dude, he's prideful, he's all these things. So if you want ChatGPT to answer, that's the answer. However, again, if we pull back and get some context into, well, why do they think that? Like, what is Absalom's motivation? What is the real source of this? So let's just go a little bit deeper. So going back a little bit, 2 Samuel 5:13. After he left Hebron, David took more concubines and wives in Jerusalem, and more sons and daughters were born to him. Okay. So you read that and you just think, yeah, like there was Old Testament times, like he had more wives, he had more children, that's what they did, that's what he did as a king, that's fine, right? But I'll be honest with you, maybe times have changed, but if I were to do this, I don't think I would have a happy family. And let's just put yourself in the shoes of his kids. Because the truth is, David, this giant slayer, that, larger than life man of God, loved making kids. Wasn't so good at raising them. And so there was a lot of tension between all of his children of who was going to vie for the little bit of attention David was willing to give them. Who was going to take over the kingdom someday when he is gone? This created lots of tension, lots of animosity, and to be honest with you, lots of wickedness. So this is what I mean by that. So again, let's just go a little bit farther, because you want to understand why Absalom did what he did. So 2 Samuel 13. In the course of time, Amnon, son of David, fell in love with Tamar, the beautiful sister of Absalom, son of David. Now, when you read that, it's really easy to go, okay, so son falls in love with daughter of David. That's creepy. Which, to be fair, no matter how you spin it, yeah, it's not great, but Absalom and Tamar are the daughters of, or son, like children of David and one spouse. Amnon is the son of David and a different spouse. So it's not so directly down the family tree, but it's not great. It's not great. And David is not really around to stop this. He's not really around to really pay attention. So Amnon decides, I want to find a way to get with my sister. So he creates this plan of, I'm going to pretend to be sick, and then I'm going to have them send Tamar into my room to feed me, and I'm going to send all the servants out and say, I need you to hand feed me so I get better, which again, if we're reading this, if I'm a dad, I'm going, absolutely not, man. That's super sus. Like, how is that going to make you feel better, to have my daughter come feed you personally? I'm out. I'm absolutely out. David, however, nowhere to be found. So this is what happens. David goes in, says, Amnon tells him, I'm really sick. I need Tamar to come. And David goes, okay, I'll go get her. So he goes and gets her. Not surprisingly, This is what happens, 2 Samuel 15, starting 11. But when she took it to him to eat, he grabbed her and said, "Come to bed with me, my sister." Yep. "No, my brother," she said to him. "Don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace? And what about you? You would be like one of the wicked fools in Israel. Please speak to the king. He will not keep me from marrying you." But he refused to listen to her, and since he was stronger than her, he raped her. Again, so not great. Not great. This all happened under David's watch. Right after this, Amnon, being a stand-up citizen and human being, decides, well, I no longer like her. In fact, I despise her. Get rid of her. And she is tossed out in disgrace, and that's when David finds out. And that's when, again, larger-than-life man, you know that something's about to happen. In fact, listen to this, 2 Samuel 15:21. When King David heard all this, he was furious. Okay, now, this is the fire and brimstone that we've been waiting for, right? Like, this son of his just raped his daughter in his house? There is no way. Dude, this guy's about to get stomped out. Again, David's killed Goliath, tens of thousands. Killing people is nothing to David. So what do you think is going to happen here? So if you read what happens here, David then... hold on. David does nothing. Okay. Again, great at making kids. Not great at raising them. So, what's the source of this now Psalm 3 battle he's facing? Because he's saying, I have the enemies all around me, God, deliver me. But what's the source of this? Well, it's probably him being a bad dad. Maybe if he was there for his kids, maybe if he raised them up in the Lord, maybe if he was more present, maybe this mess would not have happened. But for David, he's writing this psalm saying, God, I know you're going to deliver me. I know you're going to take care of me. I know that despite everything that's going on, you are there. You're my rock. But however, he should have been singing psalms beforehand going, God, how can I raise better children? How can I be there for my kids? So, I was thinking about that again, that big old, that 2006 Hemi, that Dodge 2500, that battle I was facing. Was I really facing a battle with this guy? I don't even know if he was a guy. I don't know anything about him. No idea. I have no clue what was going on. So was that the source? Was he the source of my battle? Or maybe was it the fact that I felt slighted and I was offended and I can't deal with something like that? If I feel that way, then I get really upset and I want to take it out on someone. I want to make someone hurt because of how they made me feel. Is that really actually what it was? See, I would argue that the real battles that we face, the real opposition, is often with our own demons. I mean, I just think for a second right now, the opposition you're facing. Now, I also know there is some legit opposition that we are facing out there that we do not deserve, that we did not earn in any way. It's because we live in a broken world. I am not disregarding that at all, but I want you to just take inventory of the opposition that you're currently facing or that you have faced in the past and go, God, was I the source of that? I also feel like I can say that if you were able to take an honest inventory and you say, nope, I was always the victim, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Part of being a follower of Christ is knowing and having the maturity to say, I may have been the source of that. That may be on me. Let's move on. Part 2. Know the opposition in a battle. This one's actually pretty easy because the Bible tells us who our opposition is. It's very, very clear. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Again, this one's pretty easy. Satan. Satan is our opposition, the power of evil. It's not flesh and blood, okay? It's not our coworkers, it's not our boss, it's not our in-laws, it's not that blue-haired lib that my dad always talks about online that he loves making look stupid. That's not our opposition. Flesh and blood is not. It is not our opposition. It's very clear, okay? It is the powers, the evil forces that now have free reign in our world, and we need to make sure that that is how we view the battles we are facing. Let's go back to our boy David. 2 Samuel 11, 14 through 15. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by Uriah. He had written in the letter, "Put Uriah in the front of the hardest battle and come away from him so that he may be killed." Okay. So just getting that little snippet, we're thinking, all right, so David must be fighting somebody specific, this Uriah fella, and he's going to kill him. So that is who he is against in this battle, in this opposition. That is the person that he has put a target on to focus in on his anger and his attack. But is that accurate? Should that be the target for David? Well, let's start by what we just learned, and let's go to the source. So 2 Samuel 11, 1 through 5. The spring of the year was the time when kings went out to battle. At that time, David sent Joab and his servants and all of Israel. They destroyed the sons of Ammon and gathered the army around Rabbah. But David stayed at Jerusalem. When the evening came, David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of the king's house. From the roof, he saw a woman washing herself. The woman is very beautiful. So David sent someone to ask about the woman. And one said, "Is this not Eliam's daughter Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" David sent men and took her. When she came to him, he lay with her. After she had made herself clean again, she returned to her house. She was going to have a baby, so she sent someone to tell David, "I'm going to have a baby." Okay, so the source of this battle that David is facing is his own lust. He saw a gal, decided he wanted her. He's the king. He loves making babies. He was going to do it again. Now, what I find interesting is there are Psalms written about this also, but there's not a lot of Psalms of David going, "God, I'm about to do this dumb thing. Please stop me. Please, Lord, help me. Stop me from lusting. Stop me from looking at this person in this way. Lord, I need you to protect my eyes and my heart right now." That's not a whole lot of Psalms. Normally it's afterwards. We get a lot of Psalms of, "Hey, I made this decision. Now this bad thing's happening. Now I need you to rescue me from it." It's really easy to go to God after the decisions we make, after we allow this lust, jealousy, fear, all these things turn into full-blown sin in action. So the source is his own lust. So what does he do? He decides, well, I need to find a way to, make it look like this is Uriah's kid. So he actually goes and he sends for Uriah to come back. And he tries to get Uriah to sleep with his own wife. Uriah wouldn't because he was focused on the war. So then he got Uriah drunk and he tried to then go and have him sleep with his wife. And Uriah wouldn't do it. Honestly, this chapter is super funny if it wasn't for, David being a man after God's own heart. Because he's trying to cover up his tracks. He's trying to make sure that people then, because back then they didn't have, DNA tests or talk shows where they could go and talk through this stuff. The assumption would just be Uriah and Bathsheba are husband and wife. She's pregnant. It's his. Done. That's it. But because of Uriah's focus on war and focus on what he was supposed to be doing, his mission, that little plan of David's didn't work, so he had to kill him. He had to kill him. But again, the target for him was Uriah. So who is the real opposition in this story for David? What opposition is he facing in this battle? Well, the answer is still the same. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Again, it's simple. Satan was given free rein here. He is now the one that we are against. It's not flesh and blood. It's not flesh and blood. However, knowing that is also not an excuse for us to go, "Yeah, Satan made me do it." No, because we've been given everything we need. Look at this. If you have them, just put them all in a row right here. Luke 10:19. I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. We have been given all authority. He should not be an issue causing us to stumble in our life. Another one, 1 Peter 5:8-9. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, Stand firm in the faith because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of sufferings. You know, yes, our battle is against the evil one, but we've already won that battle. I can stand firm and I can resist. It's not an excuse to go, yep, these things happen because Satan's out there and he's powerful. No. Keep going. James 4-7. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. We've been given everything to fight the opposition, to fight the real target in the battles that we're facing. But the problem is, how often are we actually getting to the real source and getting to the real target? You know, I think about a lot of the stuff that's going on in my daily life, but then in society. And I feel like we're so quick to find a target to blame. That's the person. That's the organization. That's the movement. That's the whatever it is that's causing me the strife. That's my opposition. And if I just get rid of it, if I can just get rid of it, that's all that's going to, well, then it's good. Then it's going to good. That's why I think there's been a movement now where we cling to people who make those who disagree with us look dumb. And I think you know what I'm talking about. We get really excited when we have this champion that we watch on social media who is able to make that poor college student look stupid or make that uneducated person look stupid. And we're like, ha, yeah, see? You shouldn't have those thoughts. This person's way smarter. And we stand behind them because we think that's our opposition. The person who disagrees with us, that's who we think is the opposition, when the whole time Satan's just walking around free, loving the fact that we're fighting each other. Because guess what? Those people we disagree with, those people that we're fighting, the people in our world who are actually actively killing other people, they're children of God, just like we are. Nowhere does God say, yeah, I made a couple evil ones, so you want to kill them. That's not a thing. It's not Satan and a few other people that disagree with us. They're children of God. They're not the enemy. They're not the target. They're not the source. We have to, brothers and sisters, we have to be willing to fight the right battle. Because how many battles are we fighting in life that have nothing to do with the kingdom? That it's not God bringing it upon us to test us, it's us doing it ourselves. How many times are we getting into these fights where if we looked and took an inventory of ourselves and go, yeah, that one's on me. That one's on me. You know, I love that last song. It was, I sought the Lord, and he answers. Is that right? I sought the Lord, and he answered. I wonder, are we seeking God for deliverance from things, or are we doing a better job of seeking him for clarity on, hey, God, this thing's going on. Is my thinking in the right frame here? Like, God, this thing is going on in my life right now. I just want to come to you and go, God, do I have the right mindset to face this? Do I have the right heart? Am I hearing this the right way? Or is there something going on in me that's maybe causing this to stir up that it really shouldn't? See, I think it's pretty simple when it comes to opposition. I think we need to know our enemy. From that, I think we need to build our plan. Because from that, we can win the fight. But we can't win the fight if we don't know who we're fighting against. We especially can't win the fight if we are fighting someone who has nothing to do with it, who's not the source. Because then our plan is completely jacked up, right? And there's times I'll do it, I do it all the time, where I win an argument, I win a fight, and then it's this, God going, well, congrats, man, you feel better? I'm like, no, because guess what? Now I actually just lost the opportunity to witness to that person. So it's like a double loss. And thankfully, God is not as sarcastic and cruel as me to call me out on those things in a harsh way. So I know I've given, I've been ragging on David a lot, but I also think this was something that David is really good at. So the last thing I wanted to share with him was this right here, 1 Samuel 23, 1-5. And this is just a random observation as I'm going to, so everything I was reading about like his struggles was in 2 Samuel. This right here is in 1 Samuel. It sort of makes me think, earlier, David, like when growing up and fighting his battles, before he was king, he was doing a really good job of of inquiring and going to God and seeking him out. And then when he became king, it was almost like that crown and that title kind of warped him. Almost like back in that day, God was like, hey, you don't need a king. You should let me be the king of your hearts. But us as humans, we're like, no, we have to have a physical king. And then just proving even David, a man's after God's own heart, when he wore the crown and had the title of king, he failed because ultimately he is human. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting to me that even the most pure of people, the most godly of people fail when they try and take that title of king, almost like we should just let God be king? Okay. Now I'll share this last one. So when David was told, look, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah and are looting the threshing floors, he inquired of the Lord, asking, shall I go and attack the Philistines? The Lord answered, go, attack the Philistines and save Keilah. But David's men said to him, here in Judah we are afraid. How much more then if we go to Keilah against the Philistine forces? So David inquired of the Lord once again. And the Lord answered him, go down to Keilah, for I'm going to give the Philistines into your hands. Then David and his men went to Keilah, fought the Philistines, carried off their livestock, inflicted heavy losses on them, and saved the people of Keilah. What did he do twice? Inquired of the Lord. I think we need to do a lot better job of this right here, and that's that. Lord, what do you want me to do? I think a lot of, and I'll put this on myself, a lot of my prayers are, God, what are you going to do for me? I need you to do this, God. I need you to save me from this situation. I need you to deliver me from this situation. I need you to answer this question that I don't have an answer to. I need you to do something, Lord. I think we need to do a better job of just going, Lord, what do you want me to do? You know, God, I'm getting really upset because of this stinking Dodge truck that's taking up space. Lord, what do you want me to do? And the answer is probably going to be, well, take a second and wonder if, maybe this person was in a hurry. Maybe there was something going on. Maybe there was actually an emergency, and this was the best that they could do. Maybe they had daughters just like you, Chris, and they were struggling. What would you do in that situation? Now, that's pretty far-fetched. I don't know if that's true. But if I'm going to paint them as an enemy, I should also paint them as a dad who's just caring for their kids, right? That's fair, right? Lord, what do you want me to do? I disagree with this person. I don't like what they're saying. I don't like how they're acting. Lord, I need you to take care of this problem. What do you need me to do? Maybe my heart's in the wrong place. I think as Christians, we should be able to ask ourselves, is my heart in the right place? Because why are we afraid? Why are we afraid to ask that? Why are we afraid to be wrong? God's already won the fight. What's going to happen if we're wrong? We become better Christians? Oh, darn. We bring more people to Christ? Oh. What's the ultimate victory that we're trying to win? What's the opposition that we're really facing? Satan trying to take as many brothers and sisters away from us as we can. So let's win that fight. Let me pray for you. Lord, what do you want us to do? You know, if everyone in here with their heads bowed, I'm not gonna ask anyone to raise hands. You can if you want. But I want each and every one of you to just simply ask, God, what do you want me to do? I want you to take a second. I want you to picture a battle that you're currently facing. And you choose what it is. Ask God, hey, God, what battle do you want me to think about right now? And then, Lord, what do you want me to do? Do I need to change my heart? What do you want me to do? Lord, you are king. You are king. You are master of everything. You are our commander. You have won the ultimate battle, so we now look to you knowing that you are our general in this fight, Lord. You are Lord. You are king. Whatever battle we are facing right now, Lord, I simply just want to ask, Lord, what do you want us to do? Lord, I don't want to take for granted that we can come to you and we can ask for your counsel. Thank you for letting us ask for your counsel. I pray that as a body of believers that we hear it. Lord, thank you. It's why it's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, well, hey, I appreciate you all being here. I'm assuming all of you woke up and watched. We won gold, yeah. I didn't know there were other colors to win. I just assumed gold. So, but hey, we love you so much.